Hi everybody, it's Kate from Katie Did, and as promised, I am exploring some new areas while the river is high. I am at the Strawberry Hill Recreation Area near Miles City, Montana. It's BLM land. I haven't been here since I was in high school. I asked Google how to get here, and they delivered me to some private property, and I knew that wasn't right, so I called the BLM and asked for directions. It is marked, there is a sign, don't listen to Google. Just turn up the Baker Highway, Highway 12, and drive until you hit the sign that says Strawberry Hill Recreation Area. Let's see what we can find. So many beautiful rocks. You can see why it's called Strawberry Hill. Well, we're walking in. There is a road that goes all the way up to the base of this cliff, but it has rained recently and I'm driving my husband's car, so I wasn't sure about how nice the roads would be, and I certainly didn't want to get it stuck, which has happened in the recent past. So I'm walking. It's good for me, and we'll get there when we get there. Along the road, there's some great examples of sandstone that has been acted upon by various forces, whether it's water or wind or fire. There's the four elements right there. And here is where we would definitely not have continued with the car. This stuff may look sort of okay, but it's actually this horrible material called gumbo. At least that's what we call it in this area. And it's a really, really sticky mud. So I'm trying to look for a place that I can go around without getting my feet covered. The cows, when they step in gumbo, actually get these huge balls of mud on their feet, and then they fall off and whoop! Well, good thing I don't care if I get muddy. And they fall off and they look like dinosaur eggs. Well, not really, but you can imagine them as dinosaur eggs. Oh my goodness, it smells so strongly of sage. It just smells wonderful. You can see all these little bits of pieces of pottery here. Somebody's been shooting skeet. Well, this is kind of interesting. It looks like it's an underground creek. It goes right under here and over to there, and then eventually downhill. Kava was in that hole. Thank goodness it didn't fall in. These sandstone nodules I always find kind of interesting. I always wonder if I'm going to find some fossils of some kind in them. These ones seem a little bit thick, and what we're looking for, I think, here are plant fossils, which tend to get put down in layers. So I don't think that this is probably a good place for the fossil hunting. While I'm catching my breath from climbing that hill, I'd like to remind you to click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and come along for more fun adventures. Thanks! So we're now at the third parking lot, if you want to call it that, big open space in the road. The hill itself, Strawberry Hill, is behind us. It's pretty steep, so there's no easy way up this direction. I'm going to follow this trail and see where it leads. Hopefully to some fossils! Even though it's spring and it recently rained, this little creek bed is still quite dry. Well, it's not dry, it's muddy, but the rocks are not wet. and it's not flowing. If you're out and about in this kind of country, it's really tempting to be looking all over and looking at the scenery, but don't forget to look where you're putting your feet. Rattlesnakes like to lie on the warm path, and while I have been lucky enough not to see any so far, I would prefer to keep it that way. So I have no idea what this is, but it's got these little balls. I just broke this open, and it's got these little balls in it. It's kind of cool. There are a few stones here that are harder than sandstone. I suppose it's metamorphosed, but I really like the look of it. So I just found this pile of loose clinker. It's basically mudstone that's been baked by coal fires, but not baked super hard. And mudstone often has plant fossils in it because the plants fall down on the mud and get caught between layers. So I thought I'd sit down and see what I could see here. It's really pretty, whatever it is. There's like a little circle thing there. Those maybe are seeds. I love the colors. If you have more knowledge of the stuff in this area, see there's another circle there, which I'm not an expert at all on plant fossils. I just like to find them. So if you have more knowledge of the fossils in this area, ooh, that's cool. Please let me know. I wonder what that is. Huh. I suppose some kind of seed, huh? There's often a real joy in not knowing exactly where you're going. I think this path actually leads up to the top of Strawberry Hill. We've been going steadily upward, just not climbing a cliff face. So this definitely is to the top of the hill. I've been climbing this for a while now, and it looks like I have a while to go. You know, since quarantine, I've gained 10 pounds and I am not happy about it. So I've decided to buckle down and do something about it. If you'd like to join me, just leave a post in the comments. We'll keep each other apprised of how we're doing each week, and hopefully that'll keep me honest. I find that if I don't have somebody to check in with, it's pretty easy to eat all the ice cream I want. So keep me on track, and I'll see you at the top of the hill. Wow, that's a long ways down. Even Kava thinks so. So beyond those red rocks down that road, you can see my car way in the distance there. This is an incredible view. It's just so gorgeous. We're pretty much one of the highest things up here. It's worth all the huffing and puffing. So there are all kinds of places where I'm sure plant fossils are hiding, but they are at the edge of a very terrifying cliff, and I'm not getting anywhere close to it. So I'm looking for a place that's going to be safe to sit down and sift. This trail is a loop, and it'll actually bring us back down, and I don't have to just turn around and come back the way I came. But if I do, that's all right. It's a beautiful, beautiful trail. The bad news is that it's downhill now, so if I have to turn around and go back the way I came, it's uphill again. I'll try not to think about that. Here's another example of where I would love to sit down and sift through this scoria, so I just sift through this clinker, but one slip and boom! Also, Kava likes to come and mess around there, so I'll just keep looking. This is such a beautiful place to hike. You'd think you were in the mountains instead of the desert. This is kind of the high desert, I guess. We're following starts heading off in the wrong direction. So I'm just going to cut across country, go down this draw here, and maybe I'll find some rocks along the way. See? What did I tell you? Rocks. This is purple. Huh. It's just kind of a sheen on this. This is hyperheated mudstone, basically. Well, the mudstone got so hot that it melted. But I don't know that I've ever seen it with purple on top before. That's super cool. So we are on the downside of all those cliffs. All those cliffs that probably hide fossils, but we're so far away from them still. That's all right, we'll find some. We'll find some or bust. I found an area that is a possibility. Something where I'm going to sit down, take off my backpack, look for fossils, take a drink, see if the dog wants some water, and hopefully I'll find something worth looking at. That is almost paper thin. Look at that. It's hard to imagine that's even a rock. Might be too thin to have saved any imprints. Well, those layers are so thin, I found literally nothing inside. This area is pretty, it's pretty rough. It's not real hard packed sandstone, so I am not positive that you can find plant fossils in something like that, but what the heck, we're gonna have a look anyway. Yeah, I don't want to tear that whole thing apart. It's eroding fast enough without me. And I don't see any real evidence that there's anything to tear it apart for. Again, I don't see anything on the top layers that indicates that this is a very fossiliferous area. You know, I have found that it depends on the type of rock and when it was laid down and how hard it was baked and all kinds of different things. So if there are no fossils in this, there's no point in digging it up. They may not be fossils, but my goodness, that's a pretty rock. Here, I'll put that back because it looks better that way. Wonder why there's such swirls of red in there. That's pretty nice. I found another cave. I think we better leave before she gets into it. And here we are back where we started. The draw that leads to the giant mud puddle that made me fall and slip. I guess slip and fall, huh? So this looks dry. Underneath is the very, very sticky mud. So we're gonna try to go back up again and go around in a less steep area. Wow. I think the orange is actually lichen, but it's on an orange stone and it has that purple shade and some black. Just look at all those colors. Gorgeous. Kava's on the other side of the chasm saying, "Come on, it's easy, what's your problem?" It's very down and very up. It's probably difficult to see, but here at the bottom of this chasm, I finally found a plant fossil. It's not even a very interesting one, but it's a reed. Better than nothing. Here, boy, I should have come into this chasm in the first place. This looks like kind of a really, really wide reed, and then it has calcite crystals on it. That's cool. Oh, there's one here that just broke. Hey, something I'm gonna keep. Ooh, looks like there's maybe some stuff on the bottom too. All right, into the backpack it goes. Uh-oh. I think this is evidence that that plant fossil that I found was not a plant at all, but a strange formation of sandstone, or this is petrified wood. And it doesn't look like any petrified, well, boy. Yeah, I just don't know. This half is just plain old sandstone. This other half Sure looks like petrified wood. Huh. And then here you can see it has these beautiful crystals. Well, that was a nice find as I head back to the car. I'm going to say it's petrified wood. Unless you tell me differently. That was really fun. Really, really long, really lots of up and down, but fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself a little bit. If you would like to see more of these, I have many more videos on YouTube, and I will be making more twice a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. This is Kate from Katie Did. Keep on doing.